When we last looked at this document at 9:59, was he at the location at 464 Windsor Street?
He was.
Okay. And at 10 o'clock, was this at 464 Windsor Street?
He was.
That's the same BP gas station.
Correct.
All right. At 10:01, was the ankle monitor at 405 Cooper Street Southwest?
It was.
All right. And do you see that column I where it says 17 and 18?
Correct.
All right. And that's the miles per hour, right?
Correct.
Okay. When we go at 10:02, PJV2 plus VR, is that at 18 seconds?
18 miles.
18 miles per hour?
Yes.
Excuse me. And I want you to remember this PJV2 location, all right?
Okay.
The next location, 500 Northside Drive Southwest, how many miles per hour?
90.
And what time is that?
10:03.
Is that 2 minutes after the car is at the, or the ankle monitor at the PJV2 location?
A minute.
Excuse me, a minute after the PJV2 location.
Yes.
Right? I want to show you 397 VVF. Mr. Schart's going to tell you why he objected. I had already asked the witness the question about the 90 miles per hour. So that question was done. My next question, I asked her to read the location of PJV2. That's it, what was on the spreadsheet. Then that is when Mr. Schardt objected. So that is the objection that's on the floor. At this point, I've asked her to read PJV2.
Well, she is reading off of an ankle monitor report from the ankle monitor company. To the extent that she reads off of it, that's not really my issue. It's when she starts to interpret the data. She doesn't work for that company. I don't know, for instance, the PGV2, whatever, PJV2, I don't expect to hear her testify or what that means, because she's not the ankle monitor person. The ankle monitor person would have been the person to ask about those things. So I don't get.
And what is VJV2?
So the next thing that I was going to show her, which was already admitted, is the picture of PJV2, which is a location that's already in evidence.
But how does she? Okay, so
What you were going to ask her to read.
Yes. So this is the spreadsheet, Your Honor.
Okay.
On here, which I had her read earlier on the spreadsheet, the column has the name, column D has the date and time, column E and F is longitude and latitude, and column G is a location. So before the objection, I believe she was reading, or she had read, at March 14th, 2022 at 10:02 p.m., the location PJV2 plus VR, Atlanta, Georgia. That is what my question entailed. And that was
Okay,
the
and
objection.
she read that?
She
Or
read,
is- okay. She read PJV2 plus VR, Atlanta, Georgia?
I believe that. if
Or
the
is that
objection-
when the objection came?
That might have been when the objection came.
Okay, and then what?
And I was just going to have her read the date and time of that location. Then I was going to show her what has been admitted already as already admitted as 397 VVF.
That plots that location
Correct.
by the ankle monitor company? Or by whom?
He showed the ankle monitor company that picture as it correlated to this location here. So we printed out Google images of these locations, PJV2, 464 Windsor, which is what I just showed her previously.
By the latitude and longitude?
Yes.
Somebody plotted latitude and longitude
I don't.
on a map
No, we
to get
pulled
that
up-
location?
No. We pulled up the map. We went into Google and we put PJV2 plus VR. We just Googled it. And we pulled up the location.
So essentially, they want someone who doesn't work for the ankle monitor. And mind you, the ankle monitor company person is already here. They want someone who doesn't work for the ankle monitor company to take something that's on the ankle monitor company's Excel sheet and then compare it to a Google printout that the prosecutors printed out, and
That is already in evidence?
that's
You're right,
already in
it's in evidence. It's not. We're not admitting it through her. It's in evidence. The ankle monitor witness introduced it. He
Okay.
introduced it along with the record of the pictures. And so
Okay.
at this point, when Mr. Schardt has
Okay, and
challenged,
then what? So you'll then say, and here's this other piece of evidence that is a plot of PJV2 plus VR.
is that the location at the light that for the surveillance video that we just observed? Because
Okay.
all of this is in this is all in response to Mr. Schardt's cross-examination about what occurred at the light.
Can you put that back up again, please? The thing that was just up. And from this, you are going to have her extrapolate that because at 10:02, his ankle monitor showed him at that location, then what? Because you came up here and were saying this is going to be able to show that the timeline is accurate across all the different devices. How is it going to do
So
that?
the challenge that Mr. Schardt made is that the 9:59 phone call, this started with the phone call at 9:59, which is the wiretap phone call. Mr. Schardt asked Investigator Viverito, are you able to know if that is the accurate time? Because of that line of cross-examination, we are now showing Investigator Viverito other admitted evidence that shows a correlation to that 59 time. So when you look at this chart, before we get to the 10:02, which is at PJV2, at 9:59, the
Please
ankle.
put that exhibit back up.
The spreadsheet.
Or hand it to me. I'm happy to have a paper copy of it. So now we're talking about 9:59 and not 10:02.
You're right, we're showing Mr. Schardt started off at 9:59. Then, if you can recall, he went through the entirety of the surveillance video at the FedEx. So that's after 9:59. So what we are showing is other evidence that
He does not dispute that he was at the light
he disputes.
at the same time as Mr. Drinks was.
Your Honor, he disputes that Mr. Stillwell is the person who was shooting. He disputes that the call at 9:59 was a call to get on FaceTime to shoot Mr. Drinks. We are saying that that call, that FaceTime call, is a call where they said we are getting ready to go shoot the ops. That's why they get on FaceTime. So he is challenging all of that, Your Honor. So what we are showing is at 9:59, if you look here on the ankle monitor, he's at 464 Windsor Street. That is the BP gas station. He then
If
a
the
minute
9:59 is accurate.
Here's
And lined up to, I mean, I don't see how you can establish that 9:59, according to the ankle monitor company, is, spot on to the second. 9:59, according to the wiretap.
But we're saying that it's accurate time, Your Honor, because he's
There's
at 464 Windsor, which is where, if you look at the BP gas station video footage, that is when all the cars begin to pull off from the surveillance video at the BP gas station.
But there is no cross-reference to the wiretap, which is the point.
But-
That was
but
my
the-
only point,
but
is
that-
9:59 on the wiretap. We don't know when it is on the rest of these devices, and this information does not give us, or other surveillance systems.
Agreed.
And
Do
this,
you have him on the video at the BP station talking on the phone and going like this?
We have the wiretap that has him, we believe, the phone plot.
I know you believe it. Do you have evidence to establish it?
Our evidence is
that-
circumstantial evidence that he is at the gas station. Do we have direct evidence? No, Your
No,
Honor.
do you have evidence that the 9:59 that you want is the same 9:59 on all of the different things that recorded time in video.
That is why we're showing this, Your Honor, because we're trying to show circumstantially that all these times are
How
together.
are you showing circumstantially that it lines up?
Your Honor, because when we look at the ankle monitor information, he is at the 464 Windsor at 9:59. The call comes in at 9:59. The BP gas station surveillance video has 9:59. So we are showing that all of these things coexist. So the time could not just be off because all of the time are at approximately 9:59.
That's if he got the call when he was still at the gas station.
Your Honor,
The fact that they all at some point say 9:59 doesn't establish anything if you don't have a video that shows him talking on the phone at 9:59 so that you can go, aha, see, the video lines up with the ankle monitor that says 464 Windsor Street. Otherwise, it's just what you want it to say, but it doesn't actually, even circumstantially, establish that. You can argue it, but you can't have a witness say, yep, this says 9:59, so that means
but we
that's
didn't
when that...
ask her to say that, Your Honor. We never asked Investigator
But-
Viverito to
but-
say that. We asked
I
her
know,
what
but
time
you were telling me that's what you were
No,
leading up to having her say.
No, it's not, Your Honor. What I said, I would never have her say, is he exactly on the phone at that time? Because he's in a tinted car, so we don't know. What we know is from the wiretap that at 9:59, there's a phone call. That's what we know.
That
So
at 9:59, according to however the wiretap clock was running.
Correct. Your Honor.
Yes,
And that's
nobody
what-
disputes that.
Your Honor, we've stopped talking about
Ms. Hylton, you
9:59.
came up here and said, I'm asking these questions so that I can establish that the timeline lines up for everything.
Yes, Your Honor, the timeline lines up. So
Okay.
at this point, I can show that all of these different devices are around approximately the same time.
I don't think anybody disputes even that it's approximately the same time.
Mr. Schardt does. Okay.
You can have her, it's in evidence. You can have her read something, but you cannot have her say, yeah, that means all of these times lined up. Or
I
that
never was
means
going to have-
9:59 here and 9:59 on the wiretap were the same thing.
We never had her. We were finished with the 9:59, Your Honor. The only thing I had just asked her was about PJV2 when he objected. We were finished with 9:59 about 5 questions ago. So the only thing that Mr. Schardt objected to at this time was that she was reading PJV2.
No,
That's
that
what the
she was
objection.
about to interpret.
She was not, and that's the thing. That
Okay,
was-
well, great. She's not going to.
Okay,
but-
well,
and that wasn't the state's intention.
I
Okay,
don't
then
know
I have
where-
no idea why you think any of this is going to establish that all of the times lined up, but
I'm going to object on relevance grounds at this point because I don't know where we're going, but it seems that they were trying to establish something. They said they're done establishing that, and Investigator Viverito is still interpreting ankle monitor data. So I'm going to object to relevance in 403.
Your Honor, as I stated earlier, Mr. Schardt has challenged what occurred at the light.
I know.
So at this point, we're just showing, based on admitted evidence, what occurred at the light, Your Honor. That's all.
Can I ask a question? Why is it improper or not relevant? So if there has been questions and testimony about whether the times for everything sync up, I think has been Mr. Schart's, his argument the entire time. Well, in the screenshot that was admitted to Detective Hogan, and
Okay, I didn't rule that it wasn't relevant. What we discussed up here at the bench was that it's not within the scope of redirect, which is when Ms. Hylton said, oh, yes, it is, because I'm going to be establishing that all of the times line up.
well, on cross, he disputed that the 959 from wiretap was anywhere close or could be related to the 959 anywhere else.
Was established as being the same 959, and I have heard nothing that, maybe you could tell me how you can establish that.
So at 9:59, when he makes the FaceTime or the call, he is at 464 Windsor Street. Okay, so then you go to your next step.
No, that is, how do we know that he's at 464 Windsor Street?
Says it. We just,
Because some other item of evidence says it, and we don't know that they're all running on the same clock.
that's what we're trying to show you it is. Because at 9:59, well, if everyone would just wait, and we'll get to the big ta-da. So at 9:59 on the wiretap thing, it says 464 Windsor Street. On the ankle monitor, on a separate device, at 9:59, Mr. Jackson is at 464 Windsor Street. That correlates that they're at the exact same place at the exact same time. At 10:02, it shows that he's at PJVR2, whatever. That's the intersection of I-20 and the light. And then at 10:02, on the FedEx thing, and it says 10:02:17. So it's the exact same thing. It's to show that all the times line up. All this questioning that the times are not accurate, that the times don't sync up. We're proving that they actually do sync up, which is what he challenged Investigator Viverito about this 9:59, and she's just making it up, and all the evidence is being presented as how she wants it to. And now we have physical evidence from different videos that show they actually all do sync up, that they're all running on the same, time width or band, whatever.
I think you can argue that. I don't think that is established. But if you want to have her say, but Ms. Hylton says you've already left 9:59 anyway. So I'm still at a loss as to where we are. But we'll just get her back in and.
And looking at 397 VVF, do you see that same PJV2 plus VR location that you saw on the spreadsheet?
I do.
Okay. And are you able to tell where that intersection is?
I am.
Where is that?
At Windsor, looks like just north of Rawson or at Rawson.
Now, on cross, do you recall when Mr. Schardt asked you about the handgun that was on the table at 2830 Waters Road?
I do.
And he asked you about 3 types of guns: Springfield, Sig Sauer, and Smith & Wessons.
Yes.
Right. First, let me ask you, do you know if a Springfield makes a .40 caliber weapon?
They do.
Do you know if a Sig Sauer makes a .40 caliber weapon?
They do.
And do you know if a Smith & Wesson makes a .40 caliber weapon?
They do.
Permission to approach, Your Honor?
You may.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State Exhibit 531 VV, 532 VV, and 533 VV for demonstrative purposes only. Tell me if you recognize those types of weapons: a 531, 532, and 533 VV.
One is a Springfield XD firearm, one's a Sig Sauer P229, and one's a Smith & Wesson.
And looking at those 3 weapons, are they able to illustrate what you were talking about, the distinction between the Glock 27 as well as these other types of weapons?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, this time the state would like to admit 531 VV, 532 VV, and 533 VV for demonstrative purposes. Looking at 531 VV, are you able to tell the jury about the distinction you were making between the grip of, say, a Springfield versus the Glock that you were talking about on the table at 2830 Waters Road?
Yes. We along the bottom part of the grip.
Say it one more time.
Along the bottom part of the grip. Should be right. You might have to scroll it up for the jury.
Or can you use the one at the...
Or, I'm sorry, right here. This is straight across, like with a little bit of a piece that comes down towards the back.
And is that distinguishable from what you were describing with the Glock?
Yes.
All right. Now looking at 532 VV.
Again, the same thing. You'll see there's something that comes down in the back, but otherwise it's higher up towards the front.
And you have to speak into the mic for me because I can't hear you.
Sorry, it's lower towards the back, higher up towards the front. So it kind of a part that dips down in the back and then comes up.
And for 533, I'm sorry, what kind of gun is this 532 VV?
I believe that's the Springfield XD.
Or 532?
Or sorry, which one? 532? It's a Sig Sauer P229.
Okay. And then 533 VV.
You'll see again here, there's a piece in the back, but then once you get to the front, it's just straight across.
And then What type of weapon is 533 BV?
That would be the Smith & Wesson. I'm sorry, the 530. Yeah, the Smith & Wesson.
Now I want to go to, and Mr. Kokomo, if you can help me out, please. DS57A, DS57C, and DS58A. And while that's being pulled up, Mr. Schardt, I think, asked you whether or not there were people, I guess, not necessarily looking for Mr. Stillwell, but that there'd be some concerns for his safety because of the Tierra Jones killing. Do you remember a line of questioning regarding Tierra Jones?
Yes, several years ago, that was an incident.
When was the Tierra Jones killing?
It was several years ago. I can't remember the exact date.
Do you remember the year?
And not offhand.
Now, looking at, I believe this is DS57A. Is this the communication between Mr. Stillwell and Miss Alexander regarding the shooting at McDaniel?
It is.
At I-20 and McDaniel.
It is.
Do you see any response from Mr. Stillwell in the text message that's, dang, babe, I was just at that intersection? Or, man, glad it wasn't me. I just missed being at that location.
I do not.
Do you see any text messages to Miss Alexander that says, man, I was just at that BP gas station a little while ago that's up the street from there?
I don't.
I want to go to DS58. And is that the communication between Mr. Stillwell and his grandma?
It is.
All right. Do you see where she says, hope you are not near Windsor Street shooting on the news? And says, answer me, please.
Yes.
Does he say anything to his grandma? I'm like, you know what, grandma? I was over there earlier, but it's not me.
He does not.
And looking at 397 VVF, do you see that same PJV2 plus VR location that you saw on the spreadsheet?
I do.
Okay. And are you able to tell where that intersection is?
I am.
Where is that?
At Windsor, it looks like just north of Rawson or at Rawson.